are listening to Fast Track Podcast, the place to be to fast track your personal finance or fast track your business, or both, through a series of conversations with those who have learned it, done it, and made it. Today I have Lionel with me. He runs the biggest Swiss German YouTube channel, and you might have come across his content online. He was born in 1997, but since 2015, he produces Swiss German videos, and in 2020, he also started making Chinese videos. But however, the main part of his identity is still being a law student, which you might not have guessed. And we cannot find this part of his identity online, but today we will get to know him as a person, and on your behalf, I will ask him all the questions about his YouTube channel, content creation, and how he lives a life as a YouTuber. Welcome to Fast Track Podcast, Lionel.
Thank you so much for having me.
Very glad to have you here and so eager to ask you more questions about YouTube creation, passive income, etc. All the topics that my audience is interested in.
Yeah, I'm glad to answer all your questions, and I'm sure I can talk about some interesting topics today.
Sure. So let's start with the first question. Why did you start a YouTube channel?
So I remember it was early 2015. I was in the second last grade of high school, and I was looking online to find somebody doing like these street interviews in Swiss German, and I couldn't find anybody, and I was really looking for about a full month. And after about a month of really not finding anybody doing these kind of videos, I thought, okay, then there is really nobody, so let's try this out. I think there might be some people interested in this kind of videos, so let's give it a try.
And the try has become a try into a 6-year-long video making, recording, uploading exercise.
Yeah, well, I can't believe it's 6 years now. Time flies. However, there have been 2 years where I couldn't make videos. Once when I was in Taipei and Beijing, and once when my studies were just so time consuming that I had to tell my audience, I'm sorry, I must take a break, otherwise I'm going to have really bad grades. It's amazing to think that 2015 to me sounds like it was yesterday, but it's already 6 years ago. That's kind of, it's hard to grasp. I really have to tell it.
Yeah, and you now run the biggest Swiss German YouTube channel. I think today I saw it's about around 76,000 subscribers. Just give everybody a perspective. So Switzerland is a small country with small population, and the Swiss German speaking part is just one part of the whole Switzerland. So having 76,000 followers is amazing. We cannot compare to the scale as in China. I'm sure you know more about it.
I know.
Then how did you grow it over the years? Did you notice a natural demand for street interview videos, or did you do some promotions, or what other factors help you grow the channel?
So I think there's been a number of factors. I definitely saw that once people saw that my street interviews were successful, they were copying it, sometimes even making funnier videos than me. However, luckily for me, they never really committed to it long term as I did. And I also was approached by Ringier AG, which is the corporation that runs the Blick am Abend, Blick TV, Blick, like the whole
the media world in Switzerland. Yeah,
exactly. And they said they were interested in my videos to show them on their platforms, run their own pre-roll, mid-roll ads, etc., and just pay me for these videos as well, which made it incredibly easy for me to plan what expenses can I risk with the video, because I knew there was somebody going to buy it to show it to their audience exclusively anyway. This certainly helped because I didn't need to find any other student job or something to be financially afloat, but I could rather just produce these videos and still make enough money to support myself and my studies.
Well, is that by chance that someone liked your video and then the company contacted you and sponsor you like that?
Well, it wasn't that big of a sponsorship, to be fair. It wasn't like I said in every video, hey, this video is sponsored by Ringier or something. It was not like that. It was really just, I produce the video, this is the product, and then I sell them the product, but I can still use it on my platforms. For example, this is just one way of income stream, but there's also 4 different possibilities to make income through YouTube. The most classic one is just the pre-roll ads or the mid-roll ads, which means that if somebody watches your YouTube video, they will see a little ad before the video actually plays, and then you will make a little bit of money through them seeing this ad. So I'm pretty open about like financial details because this is a podcast about money. For example, at the moment, I produce 4 videos per month, and with the views on YouTube itself, I could make around almost $1,000. So it's like $250 per video. But then this is not really the main part of income. I really like outsourcing as much as possible. So I don't edit my videos myself anymore. It's somebody doing it for me. But because the cutter has to be Swiss, because they have to understand what's happening in the videos, they have to understand what's my humor. They have to get it. What's a funny answer? So for this reason, they must be Swiss. I cannot.
You cannot outsource to other countries.
I cannot ask somebody in India or Pakistan or something to do that and pay maybe $25 or something. This is somebody from Switzerland who needs to be paid higher. So through the YouTube revenue, this mostly goes for my cutters. Not all of it, of course, but a big part of it goes for my cutters. But then there's still the second and most valuable income stream, which is product placement. So if somebody wants to, let's say I am producing a soft drink or something, I want people to buy this soft drink, I'll ask a YouTuber or a content creator to show this soft drink in a video, and then I'll pay these content creators for showing this product. And this is my main, income stream. And it's very interesting because you had Thomas as a guest in your podcast. I think his main income stream is affiliate links, which is for me is really low, but it's very interesting. So it means you can really base your income streams on different things. But I just want to say they still can do affiliate links, and you can also be paid to just show up on some event and have a chat with some moderator.
Right. And actually nowadays, even more, your online presence or your social influence becomes a currency.
Indeed. It's interesting to, a lot of my friends, a lot of people on the street, they are really curious if you can actually make money off of that, or if you need like way more subscribers. And, I can tell in the best month I've ever had, I made more than 10,000 Swiss francs in a month alone with the YouTube videos in Swiss German with a really, really small market.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to think about, but it's possible. I mean, I have to say this was a while ago, and then I had to take a break to my studies. So now I'm just relaunching the whole thing since about 2 months. So this means at the moment I cannot make 10,000 per month, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's just when people ask me about this, or it's also an example, sometimes people think they want to do a product placement and they will just give me something for free. For example, like a pillow. I've been asked for a pillow. It's nice and appreciated, but a pillow is just not worth what I can return.
Yeah.
So people don't really, or there's still a lot of people, I think in Switzerland, that haven't really understood that this is serious business and not just some guy just asking random stuff on the street, sacrificing his free time for that.
Yeah, you mean people don't understand? You mean the companies, the brands, they don't want?
No, they do. They do. They are professionals. I would really say they are really professional in Switzerland. I've seen a huge change between 2015 and 21. I really would say so. This is so different now, the approach, than it was back then. So this I cannot say anymore. But there's a lot of, I would say private individuals that have maybe some idea for their small side business, and they think what I do is just for free. It's my work, but they could somewhat profit of it for free, which is kind of depressing for me because I want people to understand that each video is 12 hours of work time. Thankfully, I don't have to do all 12 hours by myself. I just do the recording and the uploading. The editing I've now outsourced, but it's still time that is being worked and being paid. So
Yes.
People don't understand that, or some people don't understand that.
I think for YouTubers, content creators, they are on your side, like they get a taste of it. They know how much time does it take to plan your content, to create your content, to edit, to upload, and then to manage the channel. It's really time consuming.
Yeah, a lot of work that goes into it. I don't really feel it as being work, but technically I would have to, if I was writing down every minute that I was working, I would have to write this down as well. So for example, that is replying to comments. I don't know, a lot of people don't reply to comments anymore these days on YouTube. I still try to reply and read everything, which is sometimes difficult because my most viewed video has like more than 1 million views on YouTube and another 1.5 million views on Facebook. Then a lot of comments come together. So this is a bit difficult to read all of them and impossible to reply to all of them. But now with my comeback, there's not that many people watching the first videos. I can still reply to a lot of comments. So technically, I would need to write down every minute of spending time with that. But this doesn't really feel like work.
Right. And how did you find time to create content and manage your channel? It's more like manage your own business and study at the same time.
Yeah, I am actually a bit surprised that I was able to do that, if I may be honest with you, because it was not always that easy. And I try to, stay organized as much as possible. But I would say what I'm good at is, the 80-20 rule. It's
yeah,
like
the Pareto. Yeah,
exactly. You spend the first 20% of your time doing 80% of the work, right? And I think most of my projects, I would say, okay, I've reached 80% now. Is it worth going further, or is this already a product that is like good to put on the market? To speak in terms of YouTube videos, or at university, which I spend more time for than YouTube. I feel like, for example, I go to class. I always go to class. There's a lot of students that they only do something when the exam is coming. But I think because I always go to class, I always stay attentive through class. It makes it a bit easier to prepare the exams, even though I must admit now the last exam period I didn't really get good grades that time, but normally it works.
Wow, yeah. And so funny because you talk about like some people skip classes when I was in business school, and one of the classmates did a calculation. How much does each lesson cost? Because the tuition fee is so expensive. It's a business school, and it was so expensive that people don't want to skip classes.
Oh, that's so smart. Unfortunately, on my university, this doesn't work because most universities in Switzerland are state subsidized. So one semester at my university is only 1,200 Swiss francs, which is about the same amount in dollars.
Yeah.
Or what could I don't know. Yeah.
Around 1,100, 1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, like mostly the same. So this is not that much than maybe like the fees for the books and the stuff, but all in all, it's pretty, education in Switzerland, I would say, is pretty cheap.
Yeah.
At least if it's state subsidized, and it's good education.
Exactly. So, yeah. Next, I want to talk about the content creation, because now we talk about the time management for the content creation. How did you think about what kind of content you want to produce? Do you have a plan, and what's your workflow?
I cannot stress this enough. Trial and error really works. I'm such a big fan of that now. Like, I've started the videos with serious questions and serious answers. By coincidence, there was somebody with a really, really dumb answer. And that's how I figured out, the dumber the answer, the more people are going to watch my videos. And since that, I've been chasing for, dumb answers mostly. So like, for example, I will go to the street and ask, what's the square root of 49 or something? You don't think how difficult it is for some people to answer. Or like, what other countries share borders with Switzerland? Or who is the Federal Council of Switzerland, which is like our government?
Yeah. And then
very basic questions.
It was just so funny because the reason why I watched your video, you asked, what is the capital city of Japan, which the Olympics game just finished? And you said, the place where they have this Olympic Games. And people are like, I don't know.
It's incredible, but it is exactly what people want to see. It's like, I would say around 2017 to 19, there's been a really big hype from a lot of content creators that were doing the same. But I have started it a bit earlier, and I'm still doing it. So the people watching my videos now are really the long term, like people that are interested in these kind of videos long term. The only difficulty for me right now is that I have to come up with new questions all the time. And I've made more than 200 videos on YouTube. I think it's 300 or something, because I do it weekly. So imagine each video has like 7-8 questions times 300. It's really, I must come up with new stuff all the time. Sometimes I can repeat questions that I haven't used in a very long time, but all in all, I have to constantly come up with new questions, and it is difficult. That for me right now is the most difficult thing. For example, I'm going to Winterthur just this afternoon to do a round of interviews, and then if there's enough time, I try to do Winterthur and St. Gallen, which is 2 Swiss cities in the eastern part of Switzerland, in one and the same day. So I have to come up with around 18 questions now. I haven't thought of a single one yet. This is really going to be work after this podcast.
Besides the questions, do you plan which day you are filming? Like, how do you plan the backlogs of your videos?
Yes. So when I'm filming is mostly weather related, because I'm filming outside. And if it's raining, which is why this summer was particularly difficult, If it is raining, I cannot go filming because people don't like rain. So people tend to be a bit more unfriendly. They won't have the time for an interview. They won't be relaxed. Plus, it's also difficult because I have to cover my equipment the whole time. And I have to blur out the raining sound on the video. So it's so annoying that I just don't go when it's raining. So for that reason, when it's sunshine, I try to produce 2 videos in one day. It doesn't always work. Sometimes I have to, I finish in one place and I see, it's just so late already. I cannot produce another place in the same day. I think one of the things you underestimate is that in these videos, even though it looks like a normal conversation to the viewer, but I constantly have to be present. I have to be in the lead. I have to be kind of like, it sounds kind of weird, but I have to be somewhat dominant to keep the talking flow going. Yeah. And this takes a lot of, I need to drink a lot of, either
energy
coffee or Coke. Yeah.
Yeah. And is it difficult to get people talking? We are talking about Swiss people, right?
Yes. So yes, it is. It was very difficult at the beginning, but I mean, look at me. I don't look like somebody who is like particularly dangerous to other people. So I think now I use psychology a little bit to get them to, answer my questions or be more willing to answer my questions. For example, in the past, I used to ask, "Excuse me, sir, would you have 5 minutes for an interview?" And this sounds so boring. This doesn't work. I was like, maybe 2 out of 10 people were saying yes. Now I will ask, "I'm sorry, I think it doesn't really work in English, but I'm going to try to really translate it as best as possible. Can I get you for 5 minutes? Like, can I grab you for 5 minutes?" And it's like a little bit, not unfriendly, but a bit more offensive than just being so polite and easy to reject. And then I slightly nod. And it's interesting, I smile and I do slightly nodding. And actually, this has really increased the amount, like I would say the percentage of people that say, "Okay, I have time for that." So I would say now it's maybe 4 to 5 out of 10. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. And at the beginning of the question, I was talking that, now we are talking about Swiss people because it's kind of more reserved than other nationalities, let's say Latin Americans or the styles of Europe. Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, where did you get this courage just to go there and talk to random people?
I mean, what do I have to lose, right? I think if you can, it's a skill that I can use in the future as well. Having something that I must sell to somebody completely random. I mean, I'm not selling it, right? It's not costing them anything other than their time, but still I need to convince them of doing something for me, right? At the beginning, of course, it was awkward because I had never done it before. I was like afraid of being rejected, but being rejected is the worst thing that can happen to me. It's not like there is an atomic power plant exploding behind me or something. That's literally the worst thing that can happen. And is this something bad? Is this really that big of a disaster? I really don't think so anymore. I'm pretty cool with that. If people don't have time for that, then that's just their life. Yeah, I don't want to interfere with that.
Yeah, awesome, amazing. And I want to ask for anyone who wants to start their own YouTube channel, or be it hobby or be it a way to create additional channel passive income, where can they start? What are the mistakes they should avoid? What are the best practices they should adopt?
I think I have some good best practices, but just because you mentioned the word passive income, I just would like to tell you a little story and then I'll go to the best practices. It's actually very interesting to have YouTube in the perspective of passive income, because sometimes a video gets viral after 2-3 years of not being watched that much. And then you still make money through it, even though you don't need to do any work for it. For example, in October 2019, I was in Italy, in Torino, and I asked the Italians what they think about Switzerland. And it was quite funny, but back then it was like the views were normal, nothing extraordinary. In January to February 2021, so that's 2 years later, suddenly this video received so much attention that I made another $500 through it. But I did not have to work for that. It was just being in the internet and existing. I welcome this money coming into my pocket, of course. So that's the story I want to tell. So if you produce videos and it doesn't work out right away, just maybe give it some time. But for me, the most important best practice is that people have the wrong approach when starting YouTube. They have the approach of artists, which means they think I'm going to produce a video and I'm going to make it enormously good, and then I'm going to wait until I feel like making another one. And then maybe the next time they feel like making another one is 3 months later, and then the next time will be 6 months later, and it's not regular. On YouTube, there's so much content. Think of yourself being a restaurant. If you close for 3 months, people are just going to go to another restaurant and forget about your food. So you must constantly produce a new product. So if you do the approach of an artist, you better have a good manager in your back. If you are just on yourself, better think as if you were a company, or the easiest is as if you were a restaurant. People sometimes just come to you because they're hungry. It doesn't have to be like a guide Michelin meal. It doesn't have to be the best meal on YouTube. It just has to be a good meal that people will come back again. That's my approach. And it has worked for me. I see a lot of very talented people starting YouTube, but because the first video has cost them a lot of effort but isn't watched by anybody, they will give up or maybe make a new video about half a year later. And it just doesn't. It used to work like this in like 2010, but now it's 2021. The platform has changed so dramatically that you should think as a restaurant.
I like this analogy. And so if people run a YouTube channel like a restaurant, and is there any way that to get more traffic besides relying on, YouTube algorithm itself? Is there any way that they can do themselves proactively?
I think that at the beginning, it might, make sense to show the content to your friends and ask them for what they think is good and what they think should be made better. Don't be hesitant to receive critique, because with critique, you can make your videos be better, be more enjoyable to watch. And for me, for example, I like, because I'm making the street interview, it's just an example. I hope people can learn through this example. I like to go to small places of Switzerland, because when I interview somebody there and all his friends see this video, they will share it in some WhatsApp group. And then everybody in this WhatsApp group sees this, and maybe some of them are going to watch my video as well, subscribe to me as well, and continue watching my videos even in other places. So this is why a place like Basel or Zurich, which are like the biggest and the third biggest city in Switzerland, they're nice. But if I go to some smaller city where literally, everybody knows each other, to say it simply, sometimes the effect is bigger than if I go to a very dense populated area.
Also, I see it as you leverage on their own networks to cross-promote the video.
Exactly. So you not only have your own network, but there's also other people with their own network. And if you can get other people to promote your video to their network, if you can add some value, if let's say you're person A and you want person B to help you introduce your video into the network B, then maybe talk about person B in your video. Mm-hmm. Make it about person B. Mm-hmm. Give the video some value that person B will really appreciate, and they will share it.
Yeah.
There's a saying, this sounds kind of morbid, but I'm not sure if this works in English, but I'm trying it anyways. Okay, don't laugh at me if it sounds... If you want to get milk from a cow, you must bend down. So
okay, how would you say that in German?
So would you like me to say it in Swiss German? I don't know if you have some...
Yeah.
Also, wer eine Kuh melken will, muss sich halt bücken. Yeah, so you kind of must, don't be shy to, kind of serve other people if you want something from them.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I'm very glad to have you here sharing your insights. And really, I'm sure the audience also learned so much from you. I think my only very last question to you as a person, do you plan to continue this career long term? Or how did you envision yourself in the future with this content and with your law studies?
So as long as my studies allow me to do this, I will, because it's really a lot of fun. I enjoy having a challenge. I have to say I neglected the work on my Chinese channel a little bit in the last couple of months. So I am trying to build this, up a bit more than before, because I feel that there might be a bigger audience that could watch that than with Swiss German. Who knows? And I'll see what the future brings. What I want to say is that because I speak Chinese, I think once I become a lawyer, there might be some gates opening that I don't know about yet. However, it's difficult to say. I'm trying to live the moment, but then there's also aspects of mine that are long-term investing, for example. But with, my everyday present life, I really try to live in the right now. I can just say, as long as this works as long as the videos are fun to make, which they are, and as long as they, offer me a perspective to still grow through them, then I will continue to make them. I will not abandon the track of being a law student and eventually becoming a lawyer.
Yeah, so many years study. And
I just completed the 3rd out of 7 years now.
wow. So you have 4 more years to go.
Exactly.
Wow.
Life is hard.
But then you interview people in the street. It's fun.
Yeah, I actually have people that when I interview them, when I'm done with the interview, they say, "You're a law student, right?" I say, "Yes." They ask me, I have this and that problem. What can I do? And it's really unfortunate because I'm not really allowed to help them because I'm not a lawyer. It's like, I don't want to go into details with the regulation. And it's also, a kind of like question of liability, which I do not want to take for my answers. I'm sure like more or less what I'm talking about. So for that reason, I always have to say, you must wait 4 years. But then they say, okay, I'm going to wait 4 years. So I already have some clients.
Amazing. Amazing. I think you will have so much opportunities in the future, be it content creation, sponsorship, advertisement, or additional income stream, or your studied, the profession being a lawyer in the future. It's going to be interesting. And I'm also looking forward to more videos, practice my Swiss German with you in your video, and watch your Chinese channel. And I'm going to put all the links in the show notes. So if the audience are interested, check out Lionel. Do you have any other words for our audience who wants to, interested in starting YouTube channel, create passive income? Any last advice or
hello, Fast Track podcast audience. Nice to hear you all. No, I don't hear you, but nice you hear me. I would say if you want to make YouTube videos, just do trial and error. If it doesn't work out, try something new, but don't think too much about it. Just try it and then be consistent. I had to wait 1.5 years until, people really started watching my videos.
Nice. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fast Track Podcast. Show me your support by liking this episode and sharing it with your friends. Join the Facebook group at Fast Track Podcast 1, or you can find us on Instagram, YouTube, and of course the homepage fasttrack.life. See you in the next episode.